All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, September 22nd, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back, of course, at this time of the day for our afternoon meeting. I was about to say Tuesday right there before I corrected myself, but great to see everybody. I see Patrick, Gene, Mark, who picked up 10 cents just now on ONTX. I saw Gene pick up some money just before, including Martin. I see Norman, Scott, David, all of our students and trial members live inside the Cyber Group trading room. And today, if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So without further ado, we got to zip through this meeting. We got Bitcoin to talk about, but much more importantly than that, we are finishing up the phase one stock course later on today at 3:05 Eastern time. So more or less of a lightning round edition here of this afternoon meeting. Right away, GOTU, it's one of the top percent gainers. I have it on the screen. It's at the highs. So needless to be said, GOTU will definitely be on our watch list so far. Let me just jump back to a daily chart here. I see that. All right, so let me ask all of our students live inside the trading room a really quick question. As I said, we have a lightning round edition of this meeting, but real quick for all of our returning students, not necessarily brand new students, because you may be unfamiliar with this. What other stocks move with this GOTU trade? We've seen it over the last month and a half. There are two other stocks that trade with GOTU pretty nicely. What are those two stocks, folks? Maybe for Alita or Phil or David A, Stefan, one of our longtime students, perhaps. What do you guys think? This stock got crushed going back into April time, and then obviously took a huge hit since. I see a bagel right now in the trading room, meaning no answers on this. That's not good. All right, I'll spoil the answer right now. There we go. Got Nicholas inside the Cyber Group room. There we go. It's talking about the EDU stock, and alongside that, TAL. These Chinese education-based companies ended up dropping off like 50, 60 plus percent a month and a half, 2 months ago at this point. And with that, it was for the reason that the Chinese government wanted to turn them nonprofit. That's it. So they took a huge hit across that time, and generally have been kind of consolidating since. At least for right now, TAL up 11 plus percent, the GOTU up way more. I think that may be more shorted across the last year or so. I remember GOTU being a highly shorted stock compared to the EDU and TAL trade. But hey, for right now, definitely the three of them: GOTU, TAL, and EDU. Just put on our list here to begin. All right, so we'll see what else we got here, folks. I filled up my water bottle before we started, but MRIN, hey, the stock finally is beginning to show some signs of life. A bounce perhaps right around 875, then effectively once it broke over 9, it's starting to move up pretty nicely here. Unfortunately, as much as we were interested in this trade leading into the market open, you could see what had happened. This thing just totally dumped off. It was just a straight trend down at least once the market opened up. And we say it all the time, you cannot catch a falling knife. It's for the reason that if you expect support to hold and it doesn't, you're screwed out of luck. So, this trade was not necessarily easy even after it ended up finishing this drop off. It was chopping around. And then, like I'd said just before here, it started to show a bit of a bounce and now breaking out over 9. So, listen, I mean, it looks interesting. It's trading 128 million shares today. So it might be a little exhausted even with this run that we're seeing. I'll come back to this at the end easily. I'll check in with this MRIN trade at the end of this meeting. If it shows, similar signs of strength on the way up, then I'll slip it on there at the end. All right, so we keep it going. DVAX, unfortunately, not showing signs of life right now on the way up. It did before. Of course, once the market opened up, essentially popping from 16 up towards 18, ended up breaking higher across the late morning into the afternoon. So I know a couple of us were following this going into the early afternoon, built a beautiful trend roughly from that 18 level all the way up towards the high of the day, 2066. Right now, though, like I'd said, the stock just flat. Not a whole lot happening there. I would much rather follow the MRIN trade first, and that one's on the side list, like I'd said. All right, so unfortunately, we had a great setup on this YMI stock, but it ended up providing for a false breakout. I told one of our students, Donnie, before, who had called this out at 450. I said, hey, great setup. Just be a little mindful for resistance. Just right off the tops here, like 458 in particular, was a pretty damn strong top high of the day. And then once it broke, it made a nice squeeze, but yeah, right over here, you can see that's what I was commenting on to Donnie just before. Ended up breaking over 450, but held that 458 price and back down it goes. So, this one had some interest at least earlier, but right now not a whole lot. All right, so we keep it going. CLS up 19+%, trading under a million shares. But I will say the stock has pretty decent liquidity on the order book. Not necessarily an iceberg order to identify, but consistently tight spread, and looks like most price levels nearest to where it's trading on the bid and the ask have at least some volume off it. It's also breaking above the high. It looks like from August, 957. Right now it's at 960. Interesting trade here we got. I'm not really too familiar with the stock, but I'm not going to let that deter me from putting this on our list. Hey, it's moving up. The only issue is that, I mean, although I said it has good liquidity on the book, it's still trading low volume across the entire day. 864,000 shares. So, you know what? I'm kind of selling myself on putting this on the side list for right now, at least, and perhaps we'll check in with this also at the end. Skip says Bitcoin is happier this afternoon. Of course, coming off the Fed meeting, the Fed ended up leaving the rates unchanged. A couple of other tidbits. I will get to that in just a bit. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. I got a little glitch going on my charts right now. Let me just get the SPY up. With that in mind, I had it up before. That's weird. All right, so you can see really it's been a wonky day up until 2 p.m. Eastern time, and right now, as we're talking, the Fed is holding a press conference going over, at least the decision to leave the rates unchanged and other policies. But yeah, a little pop up, and now at this point, beginning to pull back down a bit. Oftentimes once the Fed reaches its decision, the meeting's over. That doesn't mean that the market's going to be on fire for the whole day in any direction, up or down. Just leaves a lot of volatility. So hopefully that volatility could lead to at least some concise direction within the markets heading into the close. Going to Stitch Fix here, SFix here, ended up reporting earnings going into the market open from yesterday. And for right now, albeit it's a more pricey stock, it's making a nice trend back up towards 41.50. So, you know what? I'll slip this on our main list for right now, the Stitch Fix stock. All right, so we keep going down. MTNB trading 6+ million shares. It's pretty flat. I mean, albeit it is also a couple cents away from the iceberg order, the 38,000 share seller at $1.37. But looks a little too slow for my blood right now. Maybe if this does wiggle back up once we finish this meeting, then we'll put it on our list, or call it out afterwards at least. This is a bust. EEIQ popped earlier, but obviously fizzled out. HUT, same thing. Ooh, F-Cell. I saw one of our students, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I apologize if I get the name wrong, but I thought it was Brian. Brian W. ended up jumping in and out on this F-Cell stock earlier here. It ended up moving up pretty nicely. I was correct on that. He picked up 25 cents on F-Cell off of $6.29, Brian W. inside our live trading room. But yeah, I mean, hey, right now this stock is moving up pretty nicely at the highs. Check in on Plug. Perhaps it's Big Brother stock. Both tend to move relatively similar. This one a lot choppier, and for a $27 stock, I'd rather be following the F-Cell, to be honest with you. So, hey, F-Cell will make the list. If you do well on Plug day to day, week to week, you know who you are. So perhaps you'd be more inclined to follow that one. But although they trade the same, this one is seemingly not as choppy for the price. Talk about choppy. Jeez, this ATER trade. All right, so I can't summarize this trade in full, folks, like I'd said, because we have class coming up later on this afternoon. But man, this was an ugly day. Thankfully, it ended up turning profitable for me by the afternoon. I was down a little bit in the morning, and then I started to get chopped around on this ATER trade, not necessarily off of 1450, but off of $14.59. That's the opening bell print from today. But heading into the early to mid afternoon, right off of here, I ended up jumping in on my last trade on this stock from the 1450. I took half out right around 15, and then the other half, unfortunately, I ended up busting on. I ended up scratching out on as it made this ugly shake back down after. Right now, it seems to be perking back up exactly towards that 1459 price, but this looks like a disaster to trade, folks. I was extremely hopeful, given the way the pre-market was looking leading into the open, to see this make a ginormous run at some point today. Not necessarily right at 9:30, but I was very hopeful for that run all throughout the morning. Obviously, here, I mean, I took half off the table, expecting the other half to run up higher. So, you can't let your emotions get ahead of you. You can't let what you assume to have happened get ahead of what actually is happening. Meaning that if I ended up holding on to my trade here as it moved up, then crashed back down, it's like you never know where this thing is going to move to. It looks like just based off of how much it's shaking around. So for the meantime, I'm not as inclined to put the ATER on the watch list for the close. Perhaps watch that 1459 level across this afternoon, or otherwise more so tomorrow morning. SoFi, nice move up today, up over 11+%. Making a lower high a bit here, seemingly off the peak, but for right now, still very tradable and nice direction so far across the afternoon. So, I don't mind it. We'll slip SoFi on our list. BT. We've seen the stock move a lot faster. So although it's at the highs and it might seem pretty good, we've seen that stock make a lot better of a run. So, you know what? I'll get to Bitcoin at the end. I'm just looking at the other crypto and Bitcoin mining related stocks like Riot and maybe Bitfarms, BITF. This was actually making a high of the day just up until a moment ago. Not much going on there, though. All right, we'll see if there's any other familiar names on the gainers side here before we hop over to the losers list. We have NNDM, familiar name, up over 9%, and albeit shaking right now, it was trending up pretty nicely, still is. So you know what? This one I like, the NNDM trade. We have a bunch of familiar names so far on the watch list across the afternoon, folks. And I say that for more so, at least, our students and members inside the cyber group room, you folks, and more so the ones that have been with us across the last many weeks and months, and if not years, right? Like GOTU, TAL, EDU, the FCell trade, SoFi, NNDM, Stitch Fix. Those are all like fairly familiar names, that we've been trading across, on and off at least, across the last many weeks and months. So keep going here. Otherwise, Endo Pharmaceuticals, pretty flat now. It's up 9.5%, but not a whole lot to write home about right now on this trade. Got the CENX stock, kind of familiar. I believe this is an aluminum stock or company. Yeah, I ended up just slipping a bit here. All right, we'll hop over to the losers list right now, folks. I mean, I'm just going to kind of glance over this right now, unless if there's anything that's like getting crushed or something that is already down enough to make a dead cat bounce. So check out INNV. It's hard to borrow, albeit getting close to the lows of the day right now, off of $8.50. Looks like a new IPO that's just breaking all-time lows. If you can't get the shares to short it, I'd rather not watch it or try and follow it across the afternoon. TMC, if this was shortable, also across the morning, this could have been a pretty good opportunity. Also looks like it's seemingly breaking all-time lows. OSUR is easy to borrow on my platform, but the issue on this stock is like kind of the same issue we had on the CLS trade from earlier. It's like trading very little volume per minute. The stock's trading about 2,000 shares per minute, shows that number in white. This, stock here is trading just a little over 2,000 shares per minute. So in relation to what the order book looks like, that's actually not like terrible, but do you expect a fast move on this stock across the next hour and 15? With this only trading about 2,000 shares per minute, I don't expect that. So it seems tradable based on the chart, the direction, the fact it's shortable. But yeah, right now I would want to follow something that's trading a lot more volume. Volume could equal volatility. So let's see, Workhorse really flat right now. I'll tell you, that just about does it across the loser side, folks. There might be one that I may have missed, but otherwise I'm just skimming through a bunch of crap that's hard to borrow to begin with, and then everything else not really looking that great of an opportunity so far. All right, so I'll check in with the chat boards right now. I don't see much from YouTube just yet. Hey, folks, if there's anything that you would want me to look at, just type it in the chat board. Let me know. From Leda, she's calling out a new high of the day alert on ANY. Yeah, ANY is up over 8% right now, and it's trying to hold over this line I have on my chart at $6.26. Likely a big post-market print or opening bell print across this week, but you know what? Hopefully for right now, this can keep going. The fact it's popping right now, it's up over 8%. It's obviously a stock that we are really familiar with also. So, if this ends up busting and going the other way, it would be unfortunate. But for right now, where it stands, this is a good stock to put on our list. I like this. Then from Deborah K, one of our trial members inside Cybergroup, Hood is at the high of the day. Robin Hood, that is. Yeah, it is. Up over 7%. little pricier of a stock, but it is at the highs. I like that. And this one trading a lot more volume per minute compared to the others. Now, this is what I'm going to say, though, just generally to the 125 of us live inside Cyber Group today. Because, and I say it specifically because I had a trial member make a post in the chat board, unnamed, but they had mentioned, hey, I jumped into ATER this morning. They ended up buying it before they joined us as a trial member, but they bought it at 1475 and they were asking for a lot of help on it. And I'm like asking, like, I asked them on the side, I'm like, all right, well, just be honest with me here. Are you already a very good, consistently profitable day trader? Not a swing trader, not an investor. Are you a very skilled, consistently profitable day trader? They told me no, truthfully, and I appreciate the transparency. Well, in return, I told them you cannot trade a single stock call out that we make until you go through our classes, until you actually know why we're doing what we're doing here. So for Deb's call out, Deborah, I mean, hey, Hood is a great call. I like this. Beautiful trend. It's at the highs. I will slip this on our list. But that's where I'm going to say to Deborah and alongside all of our other trial members here, folks, unless if you are already a very skilled, consistently profitable day trader, myself, and you'll hear Fausto scream it from the mountaintops also, the last thing that we want you to do is just gamble and jump into a stock for the hell of it. So unless if you really know what you're doing out there, please do not trade our picks. Just take a step back and just relax and just, see if this is something that you could do day to day yourself. Day trading is not for everyone. So that's why during the trial that we offer, that's your chance to see, is this real? Are people actually making money? Is this something I personally can do? So that's what the trial is meant for. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I say this to all of our students that are already taking our classes. Hell, I said it this morning. It takes a couple of months, a few months at least, for that theoretical light bulb to turn on in the back of your head, for you to realize, and some people learn the hard way, but that light bulb will turn on and you'll say, oh, so that's what Fausto and Josh were talking about for the last month and a half, 2 months. Oh, that's right. Is it worth risking a whole lot of money without knowing what you're doing? All right, folks, let me know if there's anything else that you would want me to check out. I will check out Benzinga Pro in return. I had mentioned from before the Fed ended up leaving the rates unchanged. There was also a couple of other tidbits with that, saying that the Fed will continue to buy, I think it's $120 billion per month in treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, combination between them. It looks like they might be looking to drop the stimulus and all of that later on this fall. I think that's what I'm hearing. They're looking to complete its taper by the end of 2022. That is from JPAL. All right, but I'll tell you, I'm looking on Benzinga Pro right now. The signals feed. There is no other really stocks that are popping, making a really nice move for us right now. That call out from Leda before, albeit it's dropping off a little bit here. That was the most recent, pop and run that we've caught on Benzinga. So I like the list that we have now, folks. Let me briefly jump to Bitcoin, Cardano, and when I mean briefly, I really mean briefly. We got class coming up in 10 minutes, but it's to say this, of course. We ended up seeing a small recovery over the last, 12 to 18 hours on Bitcoin. We ended up seeing a small squeeze back up off the 41 level that I marked out previously. The last time I talked about Bitcoin, I was talking about the next support level off of 41. Granted, it dropped below that and broke even a little bit under 40, but from that point has squeezed back up, knocking its head on 44,000 again. So, hey, I mean, I'm not doing backflips over this squeeze up, folks. We're not out of the doghouse yet. We still might see a bit of a shake around, but obviously it's a nice, refreshing sight to see, right? Now, at least the other talking point I want to just bring up with tracking our crypto positions is Cardano. Cardano ended up bouncing from 2, ended up squeezing up. I ended up buying another $400 worth this morning, or overnight this morning, however you may describe it. It's the Cardano to Bitcoin chart, though, that I really want to harp on because I marked out these levels from Friday last week. So this was before it really started to crash back down. And, with that, we ended up seeing a nice bounce on the Cardano to Bitcoin chart. And with the Cardano summit coming up in just about 3 days on September 25th, that is going to be a massive conference for Cardano, the crypto, and probably have a bunch of news come out. I don't know what news exactly, but I'm sure some partnerships, perhaps with governments and everything else. So I look forward to it. We'll find out more coming up in the next few days. All right, so folks, that's all you got from me here. John M is saying that TEL is building a base, TELL, and that is a stock that we've called out, not that often, but we've called it out over the last couple weeks, I remember. Ah, John, this stock's not doing us anything as a day trade. It's shortable. Maybe if it breaks down completely, that could be an interesting short, but it's just in too tight of a range right now. It's not moving around that quick. All right, folks, I think that we're going to call it for right now. We have a decent list. I will check out the MRIN and the CLS at the end here. MRIN, I put on the side list to begin, and we'll check back in with it at the end of this meeting. Unfortunately, not much signs of life after we checked in on it. In fact, it made a lower high and pulling back a bit towards that 9 level. And then CLS, like I'd said, just very lackluster, trading very little volume right now per minute. So we're going to pass on both. But I'll tell you, we got a good list so far, folks, between the three education companies from China, the EDU, TAL, and Got You, and a bunch of others to work with heading into this afternoon. I know that most of us, at least, will be in class coming up in the next 10, 15 minutes. I look forward to speaking to you folks there. I know that Rich and Fausto will be commentating going into the market close for all of us in the chat board otherwise. For all of us in social media, Facebook Live, and YouTube, a quick reminder, if anyone's joining us late this week or joining us for the first time perhaps, we ended up completing a workshop yesterday. It's on our YouTube feed, youtube.com/cybertradingu, that being our Q&A Traders Talk workshop. If you're interested in joining us here at CTU, you have two options. You can go right to the link on the banner below to sign up and just jump right on in as a trial member inside our live trading room. Or if you're more hesitant, if you're not looking to do that just yet, my recommendation, if you don't join the trading room, please just do this. Go back on our YouTube channel, folks. Go to one of the most recent videos that we've done. It is the Traders Talk Q&A workshop. That's a weekly Q&A that we always host inside the Cyber Group trading room. And just this week, we ended up providing a small treat for all of us in social media and doing it on YouTube. So go right to our YouTube channel if you're looking to watch that workshop. Otherwise, go right down to the link on the banner below to sign up and join us live inside our trading room. For all of our students, I look forward to seeing you folks in class coming up. Take care.